So I want to welcome everyone. I know that there'll be more and more people coming in as we go along. And it really is my desire to say to you all, whether you're watching this live or whether you're watching it pre-recorded, how very grateful that I am that you have chosen to take some time for yourself to be nurtured and supported and to gain some insight and understanding of maybe some ways that can help nurture you inside. Midwives, by our nature, are people who serve. We are serving. We are giving. We are supporting people in all that we do all the time, and it is an opportunity for us to really take a moment and begin to know that there is someone within us, and there always has been, but it can get put aside sometimes, especially when we've been in midwifery for a long time, as I had. And I know that we will have students on here. We will have brand new midwives. We'll have very well seasoned midwives. And it is to reach out and say to you, may this time that you spend nurture your soul, replenish you, give you ideas of how to do that on a daily basis, whether you're in prenatals, at births, postpartums, whether you're tired or whether you're doing well, whatever it is, that it may give you just a little bit of something that will help you grow into the ability to nurture yourself while you're nurturing others. So the recording is on. I will do my best to be able to send it out to the people that were unable to be with us here this morning, and perhaps more that didn't even know about it. And so welcome. That's what I want to say to you. I do appreciate a little bit of grace. It's new for me using a PowerPoint on Zoom. Zoom I'm really used to, but as we all are, but a little bit of grace on doing that. And let's go forward. So replenishing and refuel, and this is midwives gathering. Whether you're becoming a midwife, whether you're well-seasoned, or whether you've just become a student even, this is an opportunity to gather together. And I think it's really important that we as midwives gather. We went through a time in 2020 where if we were gathering for our peer reviews, those began to become only Zoom, and thank goodness Zoom was available. However, getting together to nurture our souls sometimes got put to the side just because there was a lot of review. So a little bit of housekeeping. I do love your cameras being on. I can see you, and that's really fun for me as much as you can. But I did tell you, you're okay to come in your jammies, so whatever makes you happy. Your sound should be muted when you came in, but just make sure it's muted so that we don't have back feed. For a moment, if you'll take, and at the bottom of the screen, there's a chat, and just put into there where you're from, how long you've been in practice or your studies, if you're a student, and whether you're doing home birth, whether you're doing a birth center birth, and just one word that describes you. And I think that's, so as you're doing that and you're putting that into the chat, and I know some of you are out, some of you are in your cars and doing other things, and you may or may not be able to do that while you're facing the road, or some of you may be at births, or whatever you're doing at the time. Think about this for a moment. Think about one word that describes you, who you are. And that can be an interesting challenge to come up with one word, but it's important that you know a little bit more about yourself, because often we forget to give ourselves, like I said, taking a breath and giving yourself a big pat on the back for being here today, or watching it recorded, or doing whatever it is that you do each day. Just giving yourself a little pat on the back that says, good job, well done. So our plan today is to do a little pausing and reflecting, looking at how do we live and how do we grow, going into the cocoon. And what is the cocoon? Growing seeds of love and service. And as I had said, I will take you on a little back tour of Natural Childbirth 101 classes and a code for viewing those. So I love this little cartoon, and it says, how does one become a butterfly? And the butterfly says, you must want to fly so much that you are willing to give up being a caterpillar. And that's part of what we're looking at today is where is our life now? And what are the things that would bring us greater joy in it? So here's a lovely picture for us to start out with. This is in Maui, and some of you have been to Maui, maybe some of you haven't, but any of the islands over there, they have beautiful oceans, and we tend to go to vacation and refuel and fill our well once again. And I always have said to clients, and I've said to people, no matter what their professions are, women in biblical sense, women went to the well, yes, to collect water for their home, but they went to the well to refuel their spirits. And I think when we are serving women and birth givers and parents, we often have to remind them that they have to fill their well. And I want to say that to us in our profession because we need to fill our well. So we're going to start with filling our well for a minute. So I want you to you can keep your eyes open if you want to look at the picture, you can close them, but I want you to just breathe. And we're going to breathe just a few times in through our nose and then out your mouth like you're blowing out a straw. And if you're driving, you can do this. Now, comfortably take in that air through your nose, blowing it out like a straw through your mouth. And I'll tell you why that breathing helps in a few minutes. But let's just quiet our minds down and let's just be present and focused with where we are at this moment. And imagine that you could feel your feet on the floor, on the ground, very grounded in the earth. And that you could feel your calves, your knees, your upper thighs, focusing, just being present in your body, your hips and buttocks, wherever you're sitting or standing, up your back, up your front, over your shoulders, down through your upper arms and elbows, through your forearms, out into these very precious hands that you have, and out into your fingertips, knowing that these hands have had the privilege of welcoming a new life. And if you're students and you haven't had that yet, you will have the opportunity within those hands and just being present with those hands for a moment. And knowing that they are gifted in what they give, not as much as what they receive, but as what they give. Now imagine feeling the back of your neck, the front of your neck, up into the back of your head, the top of your head, your right cheek, your left cheek, your nose and forehead, your mouth and lips and your ears, and just your whole body, and being really present in your whole body for a moment and taking a nice big breath in and out. Now imagine for just a moment that you could be anywhere you would love to be, just for a moment. You could be anywhere. Maybe that's on the beach, sipping something cool. Maybe that's in a wonderful cabin up in the mountains, next to a beautiful fireplace in the nice dim lit. Maybe that's at the top of a mountain. Maybe that's in a nice, wonderful bath. Wherever it is for you that you would really love to just be present in, and just be there for just a moment and breathe in where you are. And now take that moment and place your hands over your heart And just bring that into your heart. Bring that moment, that peace, that serenity, that breath. Bring it into your heart and just let it nourish your being and welcome into your life something that you just loved being in that moment, just for that moment. Take a breath and letting go anything you no longer need. And now allow yourself to feel your feet on the floor, your body, where you are, knowing that at any time you can come back to that moment and you can feel that comfort anytime you want to. And now when you're ready, you can open your eyes, look at this beautiful picture of Maui and the ocean, knowing that the waves, like our breath, go in and out. And with every breath we breathe in, we also release. So breathing is one of the things we did the moment we came into this world. We came from one world that we made a transition into a new life. And that breathing was something that we took in, we inspired into a newness of what we were becoming. And when we were born, we did this, and we began to learn about our world and who we are and what it meant to be there. When we become midwives, I always have said to students, I want you to know you're going to give birth to yourself again. You're going to gestate yourself, and you're going to breathe that breath of life into yourself when you give birth. And when you give birth to yourself, you will then go through learning, just like a new baby does, how to nourish yourself, then how to move your body, then how to crawl and walk, and then how to talk. And you must allow yourself to keep moving forward and also have gratitude for each part that you do as you move forward. So breathing is very important. Now, breathing is a gift that we can give ourselves. Our clients that we serve in birth, they breathe, they learn, they know, and it's instinctual within them. Sometimes in their life, they can feel like they are in resistance, and that breath will be in resistance because it'll panic, But when we do this type of breathing, which is in through our nose, out like a straw, it actually will cause our nervous system to reset. It takes us from the parasympathetic system, which is a flight or a fight or a freeze, which I equate to worry and fear and fatigue. We go from that place, and when we can use our breath, we can come into our sympathetic, which is our rest, our digest what's going on, and our create in that moment, which I equate to trust and calm and feeling safe. Women that we serve in birth, this can reset them, and they do it instinctually, and if they don't, you can help them with this. But for you, you have this gift to breathe, whether you are at a birth, whether you have just had a birth, maybe you've had resuscitations or a shoulder dystocia or anything that's gone on. Take a moment, no matter when it is. If everything is going well, take a moment. Do this with your clients when you're having prenatals and say, let's take a moment and let's just tune in to ourselves. Because when a woman, a birth giver, is in labor, she has to tune way in. And we can take that in our lives too. So doing it in prenatals, but doing it for ourselves. Even if nobody's there and you're in a meeting, just take a breath in, blow it out, take a breath in, blow it out, and reset your nervous system. When you're at births, go outside if everything is well. Go out of that room and just take a moment, 30 seconds, to just reset yourself and know that you are in trust and calm and safe so that you can hold space for the people that you serve. So some of you know me, some of you may not have met me before. I am Colleen Joy, and I'm a licensed midwife. I'm a certified professional midwife, and I'm also a certified pediatric massage therapist. And I began my journey in nursing school, and that was back in the 70s. So you can calculate my age. I'm in my 60s now, and I'm very young. I'm going to 150. So just, get ready. I got a lot of journey ahead of me. But in the 70s, when I was going to school in midwifery training, we went through labor and delivery. I had the opportunity to serve a birth giver who was having her 5th baby. And when they got ready to take her from the labor room, which is how they did it, to the delivery room, I had the opportunity to go with her. Now, I was a student midwife at the time, and everybody was in their big surgical garb, and the big bright lights were on, and she was laid down on a nice hard table. Her legs were put up in stirrups. She was draped because heaven forbid she should see what the doctors were seeing of her baby coming out of her body. And her arms were put down on these metal plates, and there were leather straps that were put over her arms, and she held on to these metal handles. And at that time, I didn't know anything different. I'd never been exposed to birth except in school. I had no siblings, and heaven forbid, my mother had no desire to talk about birth. But I was there, and I was observing, and I was learning, and I was there to be her support. And as her baby came out, her baby was cut and clamped on the cord, lifted up like all of us have seen, and shown over top of the curtain to the mother. And something in me at that moment went and released her armband, and I grabbed her wrist and I helped guide her arm, and I said, "Touch your baby," and she did. All eyes in that room were on me. Needless did I know at that time that that was my instinctualness coming forth that was going to call me into midwifery. And after the baby was taken over, wrapped, dried, not even shown to the mother, taken out of the room to the nursery where the baby was bathed, clothed, wrapped in its little blankie, put in the plastic bucket and taken off to the nursery until the mother was in recovery. A anesthesiologist who was a very tall, towering man to me, because I'm not very tall, he looked down at me and he said, "That's a sterile field," smacked my hand and said, "She's not allowed to touch her baby. Don't do that again." Well, something rang into me and I said, "This is not right. I don't know what is, but this does not feel right to me." And so there were many other things in nursing school that began to make me question. And I was invited to a home birth after I graduated school with a family that was in our church. And in that home birth, I saw midwives nurture this family. I saw a team of people and a baby that stayed with its parents and was nurtured and loved and told that it was well appreciated and celebrated by coming into this world. And I said, that's what I want to do when I grow up. And so I started by becoming a certified or a childbirth educator and a doula. And then I began attending births as an assistant to some local midwives. And in that day, we did not have formalized education like you do now. And we certainly didn't have licensure still. This was in the late 80s and early 90s. And I learned and grew, went to Jamaica for a while to do some fast tracking. And then I became a licensed midwife in 98. And in 99, I moved to Sacramento, met my incredible midwifery partner, Marlene, and we began to very quickly build a practice that was about 55 to 60 babies a year. Now, what you need to understand is we had a partnership solo practice. We went to every prenatal, every birth, and every postpartum, with the exception of some breastfeeding postpartums together. And that's a pretty heavy practice. And we did that for 20 years until in 2020. We did our last home birth, and we both went to work for the California Birth Center. Marlene is their main midwife, and me is their clinical director. And I want you all to know, I have walked your journey of fatigue, overwhelmed, baby after baby, wondering if we would ever get to events, and having the wonderful phrase that says, if I'm not at a birth, if I'm not at a birth, if I'm not at a birth. And there was one particular time when we decided that everybody was safe and we had 2 weeks till the next mom was due. And we decided to go to San Francisco to go see Wicked, my Wicked Witch story. And we checked into a hotel, immediately got a call from a first-time mom who said, I'm starting to labor. And in me, I was like, can't we have just one day without having to be doing this? And within 30 minutes, she was contracting enough. So we drove home in torrential rain. And I was like, ugh. And I said to myself, Kaleem, you've got to decide whether you love this and whether you are truly dedicated to what you're doing. And we went there, and she was 9 centimeters and her baby had Down syndrome. So I was grateful that we did not call someone else to come and attend her. I love this work. Whoop, how did we go backwards? Uh-oh, there we go. Uh-oh, all right, you guys, hold on. Grace required. My computer decided to go backwards. Let me go forward here and see what we need to do. Yes, why have you gone backwards? Uh-oh. All right. Now, let's see. There we go. Now it's going forward. So within all of us, we were parented by our parents, and we were taught as children what the world was about and how to interact with it. And we grew up, and some things we challenged, especially as teens. Do I like what my parents are telling me? Do I not like? And then began to develop into who the adults that we are. And as we were baby midwives, we were also taught by our preceptors, and our preceptors taught us what they knew. And as they taught us, we gained understanding. And there was a time, usually within a couple of years, like a good 2-year-old, we begin to question our preceptor about something, while we also have respect for their experience and their direction. And we had a passion of why we wanted to do this. Why was this passion that drove me home and helped me to get sober of why I wanted to do this, and why I was not mad or upset or frustrated anymore, but I was dedicated to what I wanted to do to help serve these families. So I want you to think for just a moment, what was it that brought you into midwifery? And you may have a coined phrase in your mind that you know, but just ask yourself, why am I doing this? Now, if any of you have watched Call the Midwife, which is a PBS series, and I think they've done 10, 11 series or years of it now. If you listen carefully or you watch the first screen, it says, why did I ever start this? And there are moments in our career when we do question ourselves. Why am I doing this? And I certainly had that moment, one of the first home births that I attended solo by myself. But we have this passion, and that passion is what keeps us serving these families, including it is a way that we earn money, and we want to be able to provide for our families and have opportunities to do things. So for you, think about it. Why did you, or why are you choosing to become a midwife? because that is what will be your motivator as you go through your process, either in school or keeping you going sometimes, is remembering why. So there's a little story about a fisherman and the fry pan. There's two people that are along a stream. They're both fishing, and the one upstream keeps throwing their fishing line in, but doesn't seem to be catching too much. And they notice that the person downstream seems to be catching a little more, but they have a unique routine after they catch a fish. They seem to take this stick that's like a broken off ruler, and they measure this fish to according to the stick. And if the fish is bigger than the stick, they throw it back. And the person upstream says, I wonder if there's some regulation about the size that we're allowed to take that I don't know about. And I wonder what it is that causes that person to want to throw them back in. So the person upstream goes down to the lower stream person and says, I can see you're doing a great job of being able to find fish. And I'd love to know more about how you do that. But I'm curious, why is it that when you fish and you get your fish out, you measure them according to the stick? And if they're too big, you throw them back. Isn't the bigger fish the ones that we want? And the fisherman down the stream said, yes, but the stick was broken off to fit my frying pan. And if the fish doesn't fit my frying pan, I throw it back in. So sometimes we can call it, because it's kind of silly. We know if we had a bigger fish, we just cut the fish up into pieces and we fry the fish, regardless of the size of the pan, right? But there's a quote by Napoleon Hill, and he says, we call it getting into a rut, which means that we accept our fate because we form the habit of daily routine, and a habit that finally becomes so strong, we cease to try to throw it off. Now, some habits we create, we love, and we are so grateful that we took the time. They say 21 days to create a habit. Well, we can take 21 days to create a habit that may or may not be serving us, and we can get stuck in a rut. And sometimes we need to open ourselves up to being willing to learn new things, because we are asking our clients to do the same thing. If they've never had a baby before, or if they've never had a baby at home or in a birth center, we're asking them, open your mind to new understandings. Open your understanding so that you can grow and become the very best version of the person that you are. And all of you, as midwives or students, are doing that in your midwifery. If you get stuck in a rut, usually you're more fatigued, overwhelmed, and you're not enjoying it anymore. So change, growth, and expansion is a human desire, and it is inevitable. The outcome will depend on what direction you choose to grow in. Now, a tiny baby is going to grow. They're going to say, I need to figure out how to use this body. And they begin to reach out and grab a toy, and they go, wow, that was cool. I used a hand. Then they learn to roll over. They learn to crawl and walk and talk. And then life continues to be something that changes and grows and expands. And the clients we serve are doing that. Are you willing to change, to grow, and expand in your humanness? Because resistance is what will cause us discomfort, more fatigue, mental fog, and it causes us to struggle. And struggle, if we all know about going to births, if they struggle through it instead of breathing into it and surrendering and letting go, you're going to be there a lot longer. They're going to be there a lot longer. And you have a lot of potential for transfers or difficulties and complications. So allow yourself to breathe in the willingness to change and grow. You did that when you were born. And you do that every day. But be willing to grow into more of who you want to be. So butterflies are a great analogy. Caterpillars, they want to change, but there's something actually in them that says, you don't. Just keep eating the leaf. Just keep crawling over here. You don't really want to do anything different. This is a great life. Just keep doing what you're doing. But something keeps calling them and something keeps pulling them back. But eventually, they will make a cocoon, and the cocoon will say, now we're going to transform. And for those of you who understand what happens in a cocoon, that caterpillar completely transforms into something like goo. And that goo is something that then begins to recreate into something known as a butterfly. So I love this cartoon. It says the two are there, the caterpillar's having lunch with the butterfly, and the caterpillar says, you've changed. And the butterfly says, we're supposed to. So willingness to grow is so important. And we can feel even within us that time that says, I don't know if I want to grow anymore. I don't know if I want to do this. And our clients go through this in birth, especially during what is termed transition, right? They're going from pregnancy into the transition of their baby coming from them and into this world. That truly is one of the most transformative times next to our own birth or our passing. And we as midwives and students have the opportunity to be there with them and prepare them ahead of time and walk with them through their births, that it's okay to let go of the past. It's okay to change. It's okay to come from the cocoon and a willingness to become who they truly are. Now, we go through cocoons too. We sometimes have to reflect, and we stop and we get into a very, why am I doing this? What am I doing? And that's where we have to go back to what was our passion. But maybe there's a different way that we want to do this if it's not working the way we had it working. And we go into a cocoon where we kind of come into goo, and it doesn't feel really good sometimes. But what happens when we are willing to do that is that then we can come into a place where we begin to start recognizing what we do want. And that beautiful butterfly starts to form and comes into a butterfly. Now, gardens and seeds, we plant seeds all the time. What kind of seeds are we planting though? The seeds we want to plant are truth and trust, and we want to pull weeds that are fear and doubt and worry. So ponder for a moment, when you think about going into a prenatal visit, do you plant a seed that says, let's see what things I can find that might be going wrong with that person, because I'm not sure that I completely trust that pregnancy really can be healthy and can be uncomplicated, and that birth, when I go into this birth, can I really believe that everything is going to go well, that the heart tones aren't going to do something funny, or that the shoulders are going to get stuck, or that she's going to bleed, or that the baby might not breathe, or that she's going to tear really bad? Can I really set a tone? Can I set a seed? Can I use my words, my thoughts, my feelings, and who I am to begin setting a new garden that says, I'm going to plant a new garden of truth and trust? Now, what is the truth about pregnancy, birth, breastfeeding, parenting? What can we trust in this? Well, if we were to take it to really the truth, pregnancy was meant to work. Babies are meant to grow well. Birth givers are meant to give birth. Babies are meant to be born. Babies know instinctually to get to breast. Milk is instinctually meant to give to babies. And parenting is a learned instinctual art. Now, it doesn't mean that there aren't things along that path that people in our day and age, because of how we grow and change in this world, need guidance. And that's one of our best jobs. I've always said when I do a consultation to a client who wants to come on for care, I say, we don't birth babies, only you do. We don't grow babies, only you do. And the truth is that birth was designed to work even if no one was there. So we are a unassisted midwife attended practice because I wanted them to know right up front that this is their work, and I'm here to be the best educator to them, to help them do what they can do to create the experience they truly want. Because we can sometimes get so much weight as midwives on our shoulders, and we need to pull that fear and doubt. I love what Carl D. Larson said. He said, expect the best, think the best, and work for the best. Nurture a garden, water it, talk well to it, and help it grow. Talking well also means that you talk well to yourself. You say, good job. I did a good job today. And I'm really grateful that I was able to support this person. And I did a good job today. Not because you need to boost your ego. There's a lot of ego in midwifery that doesn't need to be there. It's because you need to boost the person that's inside you. You need to nurture the seed so that it will keep its growth. What are the seeds you are growing in your garden? And what are they costing you in life as far as your health? And one of the things with midwifery that is very apparent is adrenal fatigue. So take care of those adrenals. And one of the ways you can help take care of them is by doing that breathing and resetting your nervous system so that they don't have to fire off to fight or flight or freeze. Reset them. And taking time to do that. And taking time every day to be able to say, I'm gonna dedicate for myself 5 minutes a day to just be with myself and say, I'm doing a good job, write in a gratitude journal, take a bath, something that nurtures your garden. Because I've always known and I've seen now, midwives don't even recognize that their garden is getting overgrown with weeds because they can't do anything but put their head down and just keep going. So it's important to keep an eye on your garden, your time, your relationships, and keep an eye on those. Because when you do and you nurture you, you'll have enough to give and enough to keep giving to yourself. Here's an affirmation that I would suggest that you do. Find a way and use pen to paper, not computer, but pen to paper, and use an affirmation that says, I am so happy and grateful now that, use only positive words such as, I am so happy and grateful now that I am taking time for myself every day that nurtures my soul and helps me to feel gratitude in the life I live. Something as simple as that. Because if you will read that morning and night, especially before you go to bed and first thing in the morning, put it up on the mirror, put it in the car, wherever it needs to be, that you will have a seed set that will help you in your day. Life is a progressive path of growth and not perfection. Perfection doesn't exist, but growth is about moving forward. And sometimes we just want to get it right. I am a good example of that in my life. For many, 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 many years, perfection was something that I expected. And it was never attainable, so I never progressed. And progression is important to us, to learn the things that give us life, because I want you to have more life, more love, more happiness, and enjoyment in serving the people that are going through this incredible time in their life. The first thing is, the first key to changing is noticing what you want to change, noticing if there's something that you're discontented with or that you're longing for. The second is making a decision that you want to change it. Without a decision, it's just going to keep being a wish or a thought. And third is a decision to take action. That action may be, I am going to do a gratitude journal every day, or I am going to take 5 minutes just to quiet myself every day, or I am going to do this with my clients of teaching them how to quiet their nervous system down. Because when their kids are running around, that's going to be a great tool for them. Because the rut, the familiar, the habit will try to pull you back to what you are doing that might not be what's serving you best, because it's what's familiar. So gratitude is always a reset, and it is one of the number one keys that I can give to you is gratitude. At any moment in time, no matter what's going on, if you say, what good can I find in this? And say, I'm grateful for that. Your nervous system will calm. Your mind will feel an ability to handle what's going on in your life. Because I want you to remember something. You are amazing. And no one can understand that better than me or another midwife of just how amazing you are. Because the work you are doing is incredible work. Make sure you are taking care of you too. Your clients and you come first. It only takes a moment to pause, to breathe, maybe sing a song, smile, laugh, dance, meditate, think grateful thoughts. It only takes a moment to do that, and a moment can go a lifetime if you take moments. Now, dance is in capitals, and I say that because the New England Journal of Medicine did a report, I think in like 2013-ish, and what they did is they said movement, dance, invigorated the mind and helped improve our mental well-being. So I've taken that to heart. And sometimes every morning I turn on my little Trolls dance music, or Katy Perry's about her lion, or the happy song, whatever it is. And I'll turn it on and I will dance, just to dance, because it moves my body. It moves the energy in me. It gets my mind going, and it'll get me out of a brain fog or out of I'm not sure about this, and it will help me. Now, some people it might be singing, some people it might be yoga, but dance is really a great one, and nobody has to watch, but it's really fun. I believe our greatest gift is to empower people, to know they are the owners of their life and their experiences. And this was something that I was passionate about in our practice. And in our practice, we had a 97% success rate at home birth. Now, I don't say that to toot my horn, not in the least, because this was about the families that created that. We were there to give them the tools of how they could create that. Yes, it helps to understand midwifery, and it helps to have certain tools in labor to work with these families, but it's about them. And the more that we empower them, the more they can do the work. And remember, if they've come from another trauma birth that happened to them, they've got to come past that. If they've come from stories, and heaven knows we live in a day and age right now where the social media can be good and it can be challenging, and we have to be aware of that. Oh no, we've gone backwards again. All right. Pause. Patience. Ah, I'm loving this. I'm also loving, there we go. For some reason, it just goes into reverse from time to time, but that's okay. So as we began to bring our attending births to a graduation, I felt like, what could I do that would take and give to as many people as possible, whether they were planning a hospital birth, a birth center birth, or a home birth, the resources to understand midwifery care in what they did that would help home birth clients who had midwives to have even more for their journey, and would ease the burden on the midwives because their families were really becoming empowered and taking full ownership, and they understood the care before it was even there, and it gave them the ability to really be proactive with their families. I knew that in a birth center, we brought it into the California Birth Center and used it with all the families. And in a hospital setting, it was a supportive tool to families to know that if they were planning a natural birth, this was how to achieve it. So I created Natural Childbirth 101 and I released it in 2020. Now, this is just a little view of our website, but the classes are Purpose Within Pregnancy, Trust Within Birth, Journey Within Breastfeeding, and Clarity Within Postpartum. And we put some of them together, and you'll see there it says the 40 P's of pregnancy and parenthood. This was 3 to 5 minutes on as many P's, which was 40 P's, from the preparation to parenting to prenatal care to the passageway, the power, the passenger, all the way down to the circumcision, which I put the word prepuce in, all the way down to parenting and the 4th trimester. So I wanted, as promised, and thank you for being here to celebrate this opportunity to give to you something about being a midwife, which is knowing that you must care for you. And I wanted just to show you what these classes are, so that if you chose to bring them to your clients, it would help them to have a better foundation to the work that you do, and it will make your work easier for you. So let me go in and show you this. So one of the things that they have is they will have a full booklet that goes with all of it, which is a summary of everything that I teach in there. And just to give you an idea of what's taught, is I go through helping them to get into a meditation that helps them to uncover what is it for them that they want to create in their births, because I do believe that it is them that must create it. The classes do go through care providers, and of course I talk about all care providers with a nice edge towards midwives and out of hospital births, and helping them truly understand, going through prenatal care, their tests and their ultrasounds. There's a meditation to connect with their babies. We talk about nutrition and the supplements that can support them, and why, and what would be the value to it. Creating comfort, such as dealing with varicose veins, round ligament pain, morning sickness, and then body basics, how to get their pelvis ready for birth and why. And then there are reflection pages to help them say, gee, this is what I've learned, and this is what I think about it. In the birth, I go through all of the standard things with, what's dilation, effacement, station, and those types of things. What's the signs of labor, and etc. And we go through supplements getting ready for birth, such as eating primrose oil, and what's the emotional connection they have with birth, and that's a meditation. I go through the newborn procedures, circumcision. There's even one for VBACs and medical interventions that goes all through things like epidurals and etc. The postpartum path goes through what to expect the first day, and teaching them what all of us do, which is like your baby, the second and third day is going to be up all night, and they're nursing and nursing and nursing, and what to do to support the birth giver and the baby, and really setting a foundation that will make any midwives work easier, because the families already know what to expect. And so anything else that you give to them helps them to just feel like, yes, I understand this, and it's not the first time they've ever heard it. So for many of you, breastfeeding definitely is a support. I go through how to get a good latch, how to maintain a match, how do babies get fed, how do we tell if babies are fed, and challenges and what to do with them. And these are in like 3 to 5 minute little segments. So if you wake up in the middle of the night and somebody's having trouble, you can say to them, you know, here's my recommendation, but also go to that part in the class, just watch that, because there are videos, there are graphics, there's me talking, and it will help them hopefully until you can get to them. But hopefully they'll know to go back and see them even before. So let me show you the store, and I'll show you a little bit more of what these are like. So this is the store. It's not the website. This is where they're being hosted. We went from one hosting. This is our new platform, which is an intuitive platform. So they have the booklet available to them. Each of these, like the prenatal care, is a whole full video that's about 10 minutes long. But in it, they also can go back and look, like if you said, you know, go back and look at the tests. It's an intuitive. So if you went down here and you said OB panel, it'll bring them directly to the video that talks about OB panel or their RH factor and ROGAM, or about group beta strep, or whatever it is that you may need them to refresh with. So let's just take a moment real quick. Let's go to protein so that you can see what this is like. And I don't know if you can hear this. Margot, can you shake your head yes or no? No, okay. So the other thing that you have is that you have it in writing, and if they want to read it, they can read it. If they want, and this is the closed caption, they also put this in. So it talks to them about protein. The other thing that this particular host has for us is if they are Spanish speaking, they are Russian, they French, there are 12 languages here that it will either do the audio or the closed caption, or both, and the transcription. So we have a lot of Russian, we have a lot of Spanish speaking families in this Sacramento area. And there are a lot of Asians in many places throughout California, that this may be really supportive to them to be able to have this education in the language that they can understand it. So I go through, we look at these, helping to educate them on all the things that you do in your practice. So there are graphics, and there are me teaching them, and it is in a way to help them understand why they're taking it. So that's just an example of what that's like. The guides, I'll show you quickly. There's a pregnancy, one for birth. There's one for postpartum, one for breastfeeding. The 40 Ps are the short little snippets that were fun to do. And then there are my lives. Now, my lives are on Facebook and Instagram right now. We're going to be compiling them into the store so that people can go in and they can literally type that word. And I've done about 80 to 100 of these lives on GBS, gestational diabetes, ROGAM, big babies, little babies, breech babies, post dates babies, fertility, progesterone, you name it. And these are for anybody that was on my Instagram and my Facebook accounts, and they are available to anybody right now. Eventually they'll all be in here. And the price of this is $20 to be able to have all access and type in, it's actually $19.97, to type in and find anything that they want and understand from a midwifery perspective. And I always help them to understand the prevention as well as what it is and how to work with it. So one of the things that I want to give to you is a code so that you can go in to my store, and please go check out naturalchildbirth101.com. Just take a look at the website, because I'm very proud of that, and the classes, which is the second page, and then the store, which any of those buttons will guide you to. And if you go through the store and you go to the buy buttons, go to the bundle so that you can get all of them, and that'll be the featured one at the very top. Let me screen share with you real quick so that you know exactly what I'm talking about. I'll show you the store. So this is the store, and this is the bundle right here. Go in as if you're going to pay for it, and there will be a code that you'll be given the opportunity to put in. And that code is capital letters, my gift, MYGIFT, my gift. And it will give you access to it for 14 days. Please go look at anything that you want, enjoy gaining the information, see what it is for you, and see if it's something that you feel might serve your families or that you might recommend to other people. Now, the costs that are on here, if you're interested in having it be with your practice frequently, then I will give you a code for discounts for your families. And often we will have little specials that go on, like, you know, any other good store. There are packages. This is prenatal and birth. This is postpartum and breastfeeding. There are ones for birth centers only, and ones that will be for midwives only as well. And that one will be your code. So thank you for letting me show you this incredible project that I have had so much fun doing, recording and putting a lot of time into, but mostly to be able to bring you a gift today. And that is to say, remember who you are. Remember, you are as important as your clients, and what we give to them about reminding them of being the best version of who they are and taking time to nurture who they are during their pregnancies, their births, and after, is something that we also have to say to ourselves. So get that affirmation. If you love the journal, the gratitude journal, then do that. Get a little journal or paper, or, you know, $5 notebook, and just start writing down what you're grateful for. And I want you to know, if you do that even for 7 days, there's so much improvement that'll happen in your body. And I thank you for allowing me to show you the classes, and for being here with me today. And if you came live, thank you for taking the time in your life to want to be nurtured and want to be supported. And I hope to be able to do this more. Perhaps the midwife gathering, this is just the beginning. So until next time, I will tell you what I tell all of my families on my lives. Go in, hug your children. Tell them they're amazing and that they can do anything that they set their minds to, just like you. Till next time, remember who you are.